Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into something pretty cool. A guide called Let's Make Money by Selling Rough Black Stones. Um, those like amazing unpolished stones that are everywhere right now. Well, we're going to see if we can actually turn that trend into a real business, like an actual way to make some money.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how much people are valuing like raw natural beauty these days. I mean, we polish and refine so much in our lives, so maybe these stones are kind of a connection back to something more like basic and real.
Yeah, I can see that there's a real like honesty to them, right? And with black stones specifically, there's like a whole other level of mystery and coolness added in.
Absolutely. Like black tourmaline, for example, is a perfect example of how one stone can appeal to tons of different people. Jewelry makers love it because it's so durable and that deep black color is amazing. It's like a 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, which is pretty hard.
Right. The Mohs scale, that's how we measure how scratch-resistant a mineral is, right? Like a diamond is a 10, the hardest, and talc is a 1 super soft.
Exactly. And that hardness is super important for jewelry because it means the stone won't get all messed up easily. But here's the cool part. Black tourmaline is also really popular with people who are into like the metaphysical properties of stones. They believe it can like absorb bad energy, kind of like a shield.
So for those buyers, it's less about the looks and more about the energy they believe the stone has. That's a whole different market, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that market, they're often called like metaphysical practitioners. Although that covers so many different beliefs and practices, it's growing super fast. Think about things like crystal healing and energy work, even meditation. It's all connected to this like fascination with stones like black tourmaline.
It's like the whole wellness movement is merging with this desire for unique natural stuff.
Speaking of which, obsidian, it's another black stone that's super trendy right now. Obsidian is a great example of how the properties of a stone determine how it's used. It's actually a volcanic glass formed when lava cools down super quickly. That gives it this really smooth, glassy texture, and it's about a 5 or 6 on the Mohs scale, so it's great for carving.
So we're talking jewelry ornaments, even tools. I've seen some amazing obsidian knives.
Yeah, exactly. And because you can polish it to this high sheen, it's also used for decorative stuff like mirrors and countertops. So, depending on the quality and how it's worked, obsidian can be sold to artisans, craftspeople, even interior designers.
Wow, the market for these black stones is way bigger than I thought. We've got jewelry makers, people into metaphysics, interior designers. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to get into this business. Where do I even start looking for these stones? Do I need to like go on a mining expedition?
Well, you could definitely go straight to the source if you wanted, but there are easier ways to find rough black stones for those of us who aren't quite that adventurous.
Okay, like what? Spill the beans.
Wholesale distributors are a great place to start, especially if you want to buy in bulk. They're basically the middleman between the mines and retailers, and they usually have a huge selection of stones at pretty good prices.
That makes sense.
Mm.
But what if I'm looking for something really special, something that stands out?
That's where international sourcing comes in. Places like Brazil, India, and South Africa are famous for their gemstone markets. They have an unbelievable variety of black stones in all shapes and sizes. Imagine walking through these bustling marketplaces, haggling with experienced traders. It's an experience.
Okay. I can already picture myself in a vibrant Indian market digging through piles of gorgeous stones. But international travel can be a pretty big investment, especially for someone just starting out. Are there ways to get a taste of that closer to home?
Of course, local connections are super valuable. Rock and gem shows are happening all the time, all over the place. They're an awesome way to meet suppliers face to face, check out stones in person, and network with other people who are into this stuff.
So you can build relationships with suppliers, learn about different stones, and maybe even find some good deals.
Exactly. It's a really good way to learn and get immersed in the world of black stones.
Okay, so let's say I found my supplier and I'm surrounded by all these beautiful, rough black stones. How do I know which ones are actually worth buying? Is it all about size or is there more to it?
There's a real skill to judging the quality of rough black stones. While size does matter, it's not the only thing. You need to understand what makes a particular stone valuable in its specific market.
Okay, so break it down for me. What should I be looking for?
Well, first of all, color. A deep, solid black is usually what people want, especially for stones like black tourmaline or obsidian. But then you have stones like shunite, which is more of a dark gray.
Shunite. That's one we haven't talked about yet. What's so special about that one?
Shunite is really cool. It's a super old form of carbon that's thought to be billions of years old. It's mostly found in Russia, and it's believed to have some unique properties.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Like, what kind of properties are we talking about?
Well, some people believe it can purify water and even neutralize those electromagnetic frequencies. It's become pretty popular in the wellness world.
So shunite is a good example of how a stone's perceived powers can make it valuable, even if it's not as visually stunning as, say, a deep black tourmaline.
You got it. It's all about understanding the market and what buyers are looking for.
Right. Okay, so color's important.
Hmm.
What else do we need to pay attention to when we're checking out these rough black stones?
Another big thing is clarity. Just like with diamonds, fewer inclusions or
I've been using the iPhone
imperfections
15
usually
Pro
mean a
for a
higher
while
price.
now, and I have questions.
Clear,
On paper, this looks
flawless
like
black
the best
stone is
iPhone to buy
more.
this year, but
So
when
we're
I'm
looking for
actually
that
using it,
perfect,
I'm not
almost
sure.
glassy
Buying this
look.
phone might be a mistake,
And
so
then there's
watch
the
this video
cut,
to
or rather,
make the right purchase.
potential
To me,
cut.
the improved
Even
design
though
and
we're dealing with
ergonomics
rough
are
stones,
probably
you
the
need to be able to
second most
picture how
important
that
change,
rough
and as you know from my
shape
videos about
polish
14 Pro,
really
I'm not a
bring
fan
out
of
the
sharp
quality.
edges. I
it's
like
like
when the
having an
phone
eye for
complements the
the
hand and fits
seeing
it. With the
the
14
beauty
Pro, I
hidden
always
inside
had
of
to
us.
use a leather case to
Nailed it.
avoid
And that
those
comes with
sharp
experience.
edges. With the
The more you
15
work
Pro,
with
I
these
can
stones, the better
finally
you'll get
use
at
the phone
recognizing
as
the
is
value.
because the
All
rounded
right, so we've
edges
got our
make it
collection
more
of black
comfortable to
stones.
hold.
We've
Of course,
figured out how
from
to
what I
judge their
see, it's
quality.
still not as
Now
comfortable
we can
as
start
the
thinking
iPhone
about getting them
11
ready
Pro
to
used
sell.
to be,
But
but
before
it's
we get
better
into
than
all the
14
selling
Pro. I
strategies,
would,
I
however,
think we
like
need
it
to
to
take a
be
little break.
even
Yeah, a
more
break is a good
ergonomic to
idea.
seal the deal
When we
for
come
me,
back,
but I'm
we'll
sure
dive
I
into the
will get
exciting
used to this
world
new
of
design
turning
quickly.
these
What I
rough
also like
stones
is
into
the new
products people
titanium.
wanna buy.
Titanium is a
Okay,
big
so we're back,
deal,
and
a
we've got our black
significant change.
stones.
Since
We know
the
what to look for
iPhone
now.
10 and
How do we
2017
actually,
iPhones have used
turn these
surgical
things
steel
into
for the
money?
frame,
That's the
steel
fun part,
is
taking
heavy,
these rough
shiny,
stones and making them into
accumulates
something
fingerprints
people
and
wanna buy.
scratches
And I'm guessing
easily.
there are, like, a
Titanium,
million
on the
different
other
ways to
hand,
do that,
is
right? It's not
much
a
lighter,
one-size-fits-all
more
kind of thing.
scratch
Nope,
resistant, and
definitely
feels
not.
solid. Previous
First, you
iPhones
gotta
felt
think
like
about
fashion
who you're
accessories. This
selling to.
titanium looks
Are you
different
going
and
after
gives a
jewelry
more
makers who are gonna
professional
turn these
vibe to me.
stones
I'd also
into
like to
finished
mention this new
pieces?
color, natural
Or maybe
titanium, is
collectors who
stunning.
love
It's an
those like
unusual
unique
color, but
specimens?
strikes the
Or are
right
you
balance
thinking about
of
that
uniqueness.
wellness
It's
market
odd
with
enough
things
to
like
make you
shunite?
wonder,
Right,
do I
because
really
those different
like it?
buyers
And
are
it's
gonna want
appealing
different
enough to
things.
always answer,
So let's
yes,
say I'm
I
going for the
do.
jewelry
Complementing the new titanium is
can I
the
do to
back
make
glass,
my
which
rough
now has
black
a
stones
subtle
stand out?
satin finish. It's
Presentation
not
is
like the matte
everything.
color in older
Jewelry makers
iPhones.
are all
It
about
feels
the
deeper
visuals.
and
They want stones
multi-layered.
that get
This
them
is
excited and
especially
inspire
visible
them.
at the
So
camera
good
area,
photos
which
are a
is
must.
glossy
that
and
means no more
noticeably
blurry cell phone
darker
pictures.
than the
For
rest
sure.
of the back
Invest
glass.
in a
This
decent
satin
camera
finish
and
seems
learn
to
some
hover
basic
above the
photography
darker
skills.
color. I
You
like
wanna
that.
show
What
off
I'm
the
also
stones in
noticing about
natural
this
light,
natural
capture all the
titanium
cool
color is
textures
how
and
different
highlight
this
any
color can
interesting
be
stuff
in
like
different lighting. In
inclusions or
some
crystal
cases, it leans more
formations.
to light
So it's not
gray,
just
and in
about showing
some
the stone,
more
it's about
towards
telling a
warm
story with a
coffee-like
picture
tone. I'd
that
say
gets
this
the
color
jewelry
is
maker
definitely
thinking
the
about
one
what
to
they
look
can
at.
create.
I also
Exactly. You
noticed
want them
a
to look at
very
that rough stone
peculiar
and
thing.
instantly
The glass
imagine the
looks as if it
amazing piece of
was
jewelry
under
it could
the
be.
titanium
about those
frame. It's a
metaphysical people
really
we talked
interesting
about
effect
before?
that might
How do you
actually
market to
have
someone
a
who's
negative
looking for
impact.
something
You see, if
more
we look
than
at
just how
crash
the stone
tests on
looks?
YouTube,
Being
we'll see that
genuine
the
is
back
super
glass
important
is
in that
quite
market.
easy to
People are
crack. So
drawn
to
to,
me,
like,
it
the
seems
energy
like
and
this
healing
choice to
vibes
make the
of these
glass more
stones, so you've
rounded
gotta be
and
knowledgeable
possibly
and respectful
thinner
as
near
well.
the frame
So
made
no
it more
crazy
prone
claims
to
or
cracks.
promising
It's just my
miracles,
guess,
right?
No
however.
way.
If I
Instead,
turn the
focus
phone
on
around,
teaching
you will see
people.
the second change that I
Share
was really
information about
excited
the
about,
history and
thin
how each
display
stone has been used
bezels. The display
traditionally.
size stayed
Be
exactly the
upfront
same,
about where you got
6.1
your stuff
inches.
from.
Even the resolution
So
is
if I'm
exactly the
selling
same
shunite,
as in the
I could
14
talk
Pro,
about how
but
it
with
comes
these
from
slimmer bezels, Apple
Russia,
managed to make the
how people
phone
have used it to
slightly
purify
smaller.
water
And a
for
smaller phone in
ages.
this case means two
You can also
things.
offer
One,
resources
it is
like
more
books or
comfortable in
articles
hand,
about
and two,
crystal
that
healing and
display
energy
looks
work.
even more
The goal is to
impressive.
build
Without
trust
changing
so
the
people
size,
see
the
you as
display
reliable
really
source.
feels bigger. It
Sounds like
just
having a
physically
strong
takes
brand
up
is
more
really key,
space
especially
because the
when
phone
people
got
are so
smaller.
sensitive to
Sadly,
fakeness.
the dynamic island didn't
Your
get
brand
any
is basically
size
your
shrinkage.
reputation.
It is still
That's what
the
makes you
same
different from
exact
everyone
size
else and
as
helps
the
you build
14
a
Pro.
loyal
And
customer
just as I predicted,
do
it
we
looks a
build a
bit
brand that
off
really
to me.
connects
It
with
just
buyers,
doesn't
especially
click that such
online?
narrow
You start
bezels
by
and a big
figuring out your
cutout are
values and what
parts
makes
of
your
one
business
phone.
unique.
I think
What's your
it would have
special
been been
thing.
better if the
Is it that
dynamic
you get your
island
stones
was a
ethically?
tad bit smaller, but
Or
Apple
maybe you're an
obviously
expert in
decided to leave
specific
this
types of black
change
stones.
for the next
Or maybe
year.
it's
I
your
also
awesome
hope
customer
that the
service.
durability of the
Because
glass, both the
anyone
front
can
and
open
on
an
the back,
online
has
store and
improved
start selling
because my
stones.
iPhone 14
But
Pro
what
got
makes
pretty
you
scratched
different?
up, despite
What's
me
your
being
story?
really gentle about it.
And once you've figured out your brand, you need to stick with it everywhere.
Since I have
Your
already
website,
mentioned
social
the
media,
action
product
button,
descriptions,
let's
even your
talk about
packaging,
that.
it
When I first got
all
the
needs
phone,
to
the action
reflect your
button was
brand.
set
So if my
as a
brand
mute
is all about
switch, but
ethical
if I go
sourcing
to settings
and
for the
helping
action
small
button,
miners,
I can change
I
that
need to
to
make sure
focus
that's clear
mode,
on my
camera,
website and my
flashlight,
product
voice
descriptions.
memos,
Maybe even
magnifier,
include a little
shortcuts,
note
or
about
some
it in the
accessibility
package.
stuff.
Exactly.
I can even make it to
Being
launch shortcuts
consistent
if
builds
needed.
trust
As of
and
right
helps
now,
people
I'm a
connect with your
bit
brand on a
lost in
deeper
these
level.
features
Okay, cool.
since I'm quite
So we've
used
got
to
our
launching
brand
the camera
figured
from
out,
the
our
lock
photos
screen,
are
and it's the
amazing,
same story with the
our product
flashlight.
descriptions
Also,
are
I rarely
interesting
use
and
voice
informative.
memos, never
Now
use
what? How do we
magnifier
actually
or
get these
accessibility,
stones in
but
front of
since
people
I
who
take a
might
lot
buy
of
them?
videos
That's
and
where your
photos,
marketing
setting
plan
up
comes
to
in.
launch,
And
the
luckily, there
camera
are
is
tons
surely
of
the
options,
right
especially
choice for me.
online.
Initially,
more.
I thought that it
What are the
wouldn't
best
be
places
that
to
convenient to
rough
press and
black
hold,
stones
but
online.
after a few minutes it started to
big guys
grow on
like
me, and
Etsy
now
and
I'm a
Amazon
fan of
are
it.
always good
Launching a
places to
camera
start.
and
They
starting
already have a huge
recording is
audience,
now
and their
super
platforms
fast,
are
and I
pretty
know
easy
that
to
when a
use.
memorable
True,
moment
but I bet they
comes,
take a big
I
cut
won't
of your
miss it.
profits,
I'm
don't they?
more sure,
Yeah, they
however,
do.
about
So
the
as your
cameras.
business
When I'm
grows,
saying
you might wanna
sure,
think
I
about
mean that
setting
I'm
up
sure
your own
about the
website.
capabilities
That
of
way
the
you have more
cameras.
control
Yet
of
I
your
have
brand
some questions
and
too.
your
As for the
prices.
camera specs for all three cameras,
forget
they
about
stay
social
exactly
media.
the same as
Places
on the
like
14
Instagram
Pro.
and
I
Facebook
think
are
Apple
awesome
didn't
for
even
showing off
try
your
to change
stones,
the
building
cameras
a
themselves.
community,
They
and
might
even
even
making
be
sales.
interchangeable.
about the
Let's
pictures,
examine the
isn't it?
main
People love
48
looking at beautiful
megapixel
black
camera.
stones,
To me, it appears
especially
to be
when
the
they're
most
presented in a
intriguing
cool way.
addition to the
Absolutely.
standard
Again,
iPhone 15
video
Pro's
is
camera.
huge
For the
too.
brief photo
Platforms like
testing
YouTube
I've
and TikTok
conducted,
are
I can
great for
say the
teaching
enhanced
people,
algorithms
giving
and
them
image
behind-the-scenes
processing
peeks at
make
their
a
business,
difference.
or
This
even doing
difference
live
isn't
sales.
groundbreaking, but it's certainly
virtual
welcome.
rock show.
However,
Yep. It's a
algorithms
fun
are
way
only
to connect
part
with
of the
people in
equation,
real
as the
time,
iPhone 15
show off
Pro
what
now
you have
shoots
and answer
24
questions.
megapixel photos
got
by
Etsy,
default.
Amazon,
And
our
that's
own
a
website,
significant
social
change.
media,
The photos
even
it
live
produces
video
are
sites.
more
There's a
detailed,
lot of
have
choices.
less noise, and overall
But with
look
so many
much
people
better.
selling
The
online,
colors,
how do we make sure
shadows,
people actually
highlights,
see
and
our
other
listings?
elements have
That's
also
where SEO
improved.
comes
Photos
in.
taken
It
in
stands for
daylight
search
and
engine
well-lit
optimization, and
conditions
it's
are
basically making
noticeably
sure your
better.
stuff
What's
online
especially
is easy
interesting
for
is
search
that
engines
the
like
size of
Google
these
to find.
24
So
megapixel
when someone
photos
searches
is
for,
only
like,
about
black
50%
tourmaline rough,
larger than the 12
want our
megapixel
listings to be at the
photos
top
on the
of the
14
results
Pro.
page.
New algorithms at work,
And there are a
gentlemen.
few things you can
Additionally,
do
the
to improve
15
your
Pro
SEO.
can capture
First, make
48
sure your product
megapixel
titles and descriptions are
HEIF
clear,
photos, or
easy to
should I
read,
say
and use
HEIF.
keywords.
They pronounced
So
heath.
instead of just saying
Users can now
beautiful
shoot
black
in 48
stone,
megapixel
I
heat.
might say
These aren't
rough
raw
black
photos,
tourmaline
but their
crystal.
quality is comparable
Perfect
to
for
pro
jewelry.
raw photos.
Perfect.
The main
You're
difference is
using
that they
words that
offer
people
slightly
searching for
less
those
edits in
stones are likely
headroom
to
and
type
are
in.
much smaller in
Don't forget
size.
about those
What's
awesome
most
photo
surprising
search
is how
engines like
Apple managed to
listings with
extract
high-quality
even
original
more
images.
from the
So
same
those
camera
beautiful,
hardware
well-lit
while
photos
using
aren't
less
just for
storage
attracting
space.
buyers,
The
they're also
cameras
helping
on
more people
iPhone
find our
15
listings.
Pro now
Exactly.
also
It's all
capture
connected.
depth information,
Another big part
all
of
within
SEO
that
is getting
compact
backlinks.
file size.
Backlinks.
This means I can forget about
Backlinks are
switching to
links
portrait
from
mode
other
and
websites
simply
to your
take
website.
standard photos
The more
because
good
I know
backlinks
that I
you
can
have, the more
always turn those
trustworthy your
photos into
website
portraits
search
in a few
engines.
clicks.
So if a
This is
popular
a
jewelry blog
super
links to my
cool
website,
addition
that's
that
good
I'm
for my
really
SEO.
happy to
Totally.
have. I
It
think it's
shows
also worth
Google that
mentioning
your
that
website is a
low
good
light
resource,
photos,
and that
low
can
light
bump you up in
performance
search
has
results.
improved too.
Okay,
This is
so
not the
SEO
level
is
of
super
difference we
important
had
for
when the
online
night
selling.
mode was first
But what about those
introduced.
local
But even
rock
when
shows
compared
we
to
were talking
photos
about
taken in the
before?
14 Pro,
Any
the
tips for
photos from the
making the most
15
of those
Pro have
in-person
better
events?
colors,
Rock
more
shows are a
details,
great
less
way to meet
noise, and
buyers
even
face-to-face
slightly
and
less
build
flaring. The
relationships.
flaring issue
Your chance
is
to let your
not
personality
gone by
shine
any
through
means, but
and
it
show
is
how much
slightly
you
better.
love these
As for
stones
the
right.
ultra-wide and zoom
Make sure
cameras,
your booth
like I
looks
said,
good
they
and
are
organized.
exactly the same as in the
Display
14
your
Pro.
stones
For
in a
these
way
cameras,
that's
there are
eye-catching
no
and easy to
substantial
look through,
improvements since the
and be ready to
sensors are
answer
still
questions and
12
chat with
megapixels.
people.
Yes, the
It's all about
photos are a
making
bit
people
less
feel good,
noisy, have
right?
slightly
Making them
better
feel
colors,
welcome
and
and giving
improved
them the
HDR
information.
processing, but
got
if I
it.
put two
And don't
photos
be
side
afraid
by
to get
side,
creative
you
with how
might
you
not
display your
spot the
stones.
difference
Maybe
between the
group them by
14
color
Pro and
type or how they
15
could be
Pro.
used.
The only
You
case
could even
where
make
you'll
little sample
really
packs
see a
for people to
difference
take
is
home.
in low light.
Okay,
In
so
these
we've covered
conditions, the
online,
ultra-wide
selling
and zoom
in-person,
cameras on the 15
selling
Pro
SEO,
show
branding,
less
how
noise
this
and
is
more
done.
accurate
And I
colors.
bet we've
What's
just scratched the
really
surface.
changed
We have, but I
noticeably
think
is
it's a
video
good starting point
capabilities,
for
not the
understanding all the
resolution
different ways
or
you can
frame
market
rate
and
though.
sell
iPhone
black
15
stones.
Pro now lets
It's
you
wild
record
how much
videos
there is
in
to
log
know
and
about these simple
ASS.
stones,
Log,
isn't it?
like you may
From where to
expect,
find
is
them
the
to how
one
to
to
sell
go
them.
for.
It's a
In
whole
my
world
case, it
to
preserves a
explore.
ton of
For sure, and I
details
think
and allows
that's
for
part of what
deep
makes these
color
so cool,
grading.
is to have
I'm
the
sure
history
all
and the
those
data drawn
presets from your favorite
I
video
agree.
makers will
But
look
before we
great
get too
here.
lost in
As
all
for the
mystical stuff,
quality of
I think we
standard
need to get down to
videos, the
business,
iPhone 15
literally.
Pro handles
talk about the
highlights
money.
better, has
The
slightly
process.
improved HDR, and the faces in videos seem less flat. Another significant feature of the 15 Pro's camera is the ability to record videos directly to external drives. This is a fantastic addition that will surely benefit filmmakers. While it might not revolutionize my day-to-day usage, for testing purposes, it's a game changer. The reason why this is possible is because of the Type-C port. The port itself is great. We've had it on MacBooks for many years now. What is really interesting to me is how Apple decided to use it. During the event, Apple showed that the iPhone now can be used as a power bank to charge AirPods. And after some testing, I can confirm that it's true. The 15 Pro does charge everything that requires charging and plugs in via the Type-C port. For example, I can plug in the Type-C to Lightning cable and charge my iPhone 14 Pro. This is a really nice feature to have. Oh, and the Type-C cable in the box is now braided. It is much less prone to tangling and feels more robust. I'm not sure I like the white color though. To me, it feels a bit impractical. We all know how fabric absorbs all dirt and grime. I'm sure after a few weeks of using this cable, we'll get dirty and gross. Another thing that I've noticed so far is that the performance difference isn't really that noticeable, at least in everyday tasks. I did not have enough time to install heavy apps or games, but on the level of system and most common apps I see absolutely no difference between 15 Pro and 14 Pro. Apps launch super fast on both, all animations are extremely fluid, but I'm already preparing the more in-depth testing, so stay tuned for that. Oh, and I almost forgot, the battery life. From those days that I'm using it, I can clearly say that the battery life is exactly the same as it was in the 14 Pro when it was new. I just hope that the 15 Pro won't have the same battery issues as the 14 Pro, because the 14 Pro I used for a year has lost 12% of its battery health, but I think we'll see that in a few months. So, how can you make a mistake while buying the iPhone 15 Pro? Well, buying the 15 Pro might be a mistake in itself, because if you're looking for something new and you have the iPhone 14 Pro, you will not find that much stuff here. Yes, you will get the titanium, the action button, and slim display bezels, but the camera system will remain mostly the same. To really feel what the real Pro iPhone is, you have to go for the 15 Pro Max. If you go for that phone, you will get all the same stuff, but better battery life and a 5x zoom camera, which is a huge deal. But of course, if you specifically want the 15 Pro and you right now have iPhone 11 or 12, you will not regret the purchase. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.
Returns or exchanges? What if someone's not happy with what they bought?
It's really important to have a clear return policy that explains everything. It protects both you and your customers. Be upfront about your rules, like how long they have to return something.
Let's make money by selling rough black stones. Introduction to selling rough black stones. The gemstone and mineral trade presents a lucrative opportunity for entrepreneurs. Among the most profitable segments is selling rough black stones, which are in high demand across various industries. Whether for jewelry, metaphysical purposes, or industrial use, these stones have immense value. In this guide, we will explore how to start, where to source, and how to market rough black stones to maximize profit. Understanding the market for rough black stones. Why are rough black stones valuable? Rough black stones hold significant value due to their aesthetic appeal and functional uses. Some of the most popular rough black stones include black tourmaline, used in jewelry and for metaphysical healing; obsidian, popular in knife making, ornaments, and holistic healing; black onyx, highly sought after for its elegance in jewelry; jetstone, a fossilized wood used in vintage jewelry; shungite, known for its unique carbon content and purified properties. Who buys rough black stones? The customer base for rough black stones is diverse, including jewelry makers, crafting unique pieces with raw gemstones; collectors, seeking rare and valuable stones; metaphysical practitioners, believing in healing properties; construction and industrial firms, using stones for cutting and polishing. How to source rough black stones. Finding reliable suppliers. To make a profit selling rough black stones, you need a reliable source. Consider mining companies. Directly sourcing from mines ensures authenticity. Wholesale distributors. Large suppliers offer bulk pricing. International markets. Countries like Brazil, India, and South Africa are top suppliers.